Hello, and welcome back to Soul Star Radio. I'm Jacquelene Close-Moore, your host, and I'm joined today by the wonderful, very live and very angelic Raul Estevez, who is an author, psychic, and healer. And you've got some beautiful flowers there, Raul. Welcome to the show.
I've got beautiful flowers here with me, Jacquelene. Thank you so much again for having me on the show. And I'm surrounded by the beautiful color lilies, an angelic flower that brings a message of I love you. And also we have the yellow lilies, and the yellow lilies bring the energy of abundance.
I'm loving them both. It's I'm feeling the vibe from here. I actually had this bizarre vision of being at the beach, and they weren't quite the colour yellow lilies. They're actually, I think, a tiger lily, and that was a few days ago. So it's quite interesting with the whole energy of flowers, because it's literally, Mother Nature at work and the earth energy at work, and the expression of the love coming through them and the healing. And so we love you too, Raul. It's lovely to have you back. Now, you're going to be doing a live stage presentation down there at the Mind, Body, Spirit Festival in Sydney. Is that on Sunday? Is that on the other days of the weekend? Or
it's only on Sunday. I was fortunate enough to be selected to be a part of Mind, Body, Spirit this year in Sydney. And you actually predicted this, that it was going to happen. And as per usual, you were correct. So I shall be there Sunday at 5 p.m. At the Speaker's Lounge, talking about Archangel flowers and my beautiful deck of cards, which are just there behind me, Guidance, Star of Life, Inspirational cards. So if you are in the Sydney area, Darling Harbour International Convention Centre, come and join me 5 p.m. and we'll have some fun with the archangels and the flowers.
I'm loving the idea of that. It's going to be pretty special. It's not many people who actually do flower readings as well, and you're doing much more than flower readings because you're bringing in the angelic energy as well. And so it's really beautiful to see you getting out on the road with that. We've been waiting a while. TikTok, although my watch is not on me today. I can't actually wear watches, by the way, people. Time stops when I'm wearing them. Literally, it just stops working. So I've had a couple of interesting weeks here, and I do apologise, everyone, for not being live last week. I was still getting over the anaesthetics. We sort of went back into have the vehicle overhauled again, and we do need to look after our vehicles. Because they do need maintenance as well. And what I found interesting this week was I was talking to a client, and they were saying, because we were talking about conflict and the fact that she was having a lot of trouble with conflict with people and was even conflicted in herself. And I find it interesting how people will spend money on servicing their car, fixing their car, doing up their car, putting mag wheels on their car, and they might even, do interesting things with the exhaust, which makes interesting sound and costs a lot of money. You talk to them about going and getting some training on conflict resolution. It's like, I don't know about that, so I'll just, try to get along with people a bit better. And it's like, okay. Yeah,
Believe me, I get it, because I'm in the process of spending $15,000 on my health. Yes?
Yep.
So I much rather spend that amount of money truly on looking after my body, because it's the only one that I got at this point in time, rather than getting the latest car.
Yep. Yeah, because we only have one body, and unlike, I don't know about you, but when I was 20, I was talking about how I really just wish there was a spare parts shop for body pieces so that you can go and get stuff fixed and just replaced, But then you think about the fact that would have to come from a human, and you think, no.
You're tapping into the movie The Island, if you ever watch it with Scarlett Johansson, where they actually do that.
Right, bit scary, sort of a bit lacking in empathy, which we need a lot of. But it's, so that whole thing of having to have empathy for our own body, our own vehicle and our own energy, and investing in yourself as being an important thing, because you only have your health. If you look after your health, you're actually looking after your wealth, because in order to make money, you have to be able to look after your body as well, and your well-being and your sense of even mental well-being. And mental emotional well-being is very important as well. And so, the subject of conflict is an interesting one, because if we look at, I was actually looking at something on the internet, and it was going on about how, in the last 1,000 years, it actually said how long in the last 1,000 years, or how often, or for how long do you think there's been no war anywhere in the world, in that last 1,000 years? And it actually came out as 66 days. So it can sort of be, human beings, I think, are a creature and a species of conflict, and it is just about not trying to avoid the conflict, because trying to avoid the conflict often creates more conflict. It's about finding the peace within the conflict so that you can deal with conflict constructively, and sort of avoiding, I think, the training on that and just saying, I'll just do more of this. And it's like, that's what you've always done. You're not actually addressing the pattern and the core of what's going on there. Yeah. Do you find that people get stuck in patterns when you're dealing with them as well? And how do you help them?
Yeah, and I think that the main point is what I usually say. It's a matter of control, and people try to control others. And when you try to control another human being, what are you going to get? Simply resistance. So rather than controlling somebody, I usually say sometimes people are presented to us because they're a mirror to something that we need to look at, and that we don't realize that we are sending that energy out. But embrace individual differences, because when you embrace those, you're actually much more comfortable with who you are. It's the idea that this is why you and I work well together, because you're not trying to be Raul and I'm not trying to be Jacquelene. And many people are trying to copy Jacquelene, and unfortunately they're not succeeding.
Yeah. And frankly, let's face it, your hair on me and my hair on you, I'm not thinking that's going to work, sweetie.
The blue top might work, but the red hair, I don't think so. I'm comfortable with the salt and pepper that I got.
I just need the red for the fire, sweetie. It's all about...
It's all about the passion. It's all about the passion, and that's what's actually coming through for you. Since you and I met, you have reignited your passion. You have been through a roller coaster ride, and you're kind of like at the other end now, and that's what your beautiful bright red heads representing the passion within.
Thank you. So what sort of things do you think, is there a meditation you reckon we can crank out for people who, I really hate that person? I sort of like to think of, hang on a minute, but what about that person can you celebrate? What about that person can you go, I like that about them? It could be that they put their shoes on the right way, but, what sort of things would you get people to do when they're...
I usually tend, a little exercise is little, but it's extremely complex. I don't use in my vocabulary the word hate anymore. I use the word dislike, because I tend to say to people, what goes around comes around. So if you're sending the H word out, that's what you're coming back to you. People are going to have that energy sending out. What I usually say is change your vocabulary by using the word dislike. You're allowed to dislike somebody. You're allowed to dislike a flavor of ice cream, but you don't need to actually hate the flavor of ice cream. You dislike it. And when you dislike, the energy that you're sending is, I'm okay with you. I just don't like that sort of behavior. Perhaps I don't need to be part of your circle. So the idea is to create an atmosphere of saying, I'm allowed to dislike. And by the same token, people are allowed to dislike you.
Oh, yes. Because I like to put it as, I actually made a meme on Facebook of this. If I was everyone's cup of tea, my name would be Twinings, not Jacquelene Close-Moore. Frankly, lots of people love tea.
Actually, your name is Twinings. I happen to like you. You are my cup of tea.
I love you, mate. So we don't have to. And the thing is, if we can accept that that other person doesn't have to like us, it's a whole lot easier to not have to like them. And, as I know growing up being a woman, which I got to tell you, it's really interesting ride for me because I've been a man a lot of times, right? And so also, and so I'm sort of, I didn't realise how direct I was until I watched other women in boardroom meetings not being direct, and I'm going, what the hell? I'm like, I'm the odd one here. Okay, right then. Well, still going to do it, but it is just that case of having to go. It's okay if I don't like them. It's okay if they don't like me, and if I just allow for the fact that they don't like me, I don't like them. However, I can celebrate the good things they do out in the world. Yeah. I can celebrate that they put their shoes on correctly, that they're drawing breath in the right order, and that, maybe they're smiled at someone, and maybe there's someone that they're really special to. Maybe there's a whole heap of people they're really special to. If we celebrate that, we're celebrating the part of them that's actually really beautiful, and then that beauty surrounds us.
But it's about it's what I said, create your own movie and be the protagonist of that movie. But also realize that within that movie, you're going to have extras. And they're necessary to the whole picture, because otherwise your picture will be rather boring. And having those extras in the background actually make your movie of Jacquelene Closmore or Raul Esteves a much more interesting to watch. They're all connected.
And where would Lord of the Rings be without the orcs?
Correct.
There's a lot of extras in that.
And there were not all that pretty either.
No, but hey, they're beautiful in their own way, and they serve a function, don't they?
I'm allowed to dislike.
Orcs. It's good. All right, anyway, so I think we've had enough of the various elementals out there and in the underworld. We might come back down to Middle Earth. Oh, sorry. We've got Sarah in Granville, Ohio. Are you there, Sarah?
Yes.
Hello and welcome to the
Sarah.
show.
Hello.
Welcome to the show. Raul, let's see if, Sarah, if you've got a question for Raul can do for a reading for you.
Yeah, I was just my relationship.
Okay, relationship. The first thing that comes up is we bringing back the calla lilies. Is that idea of I love you, and that's something that you want to hear, Sarah. You want to hear those words, and you cannot force somebody else to say them. They need to actually evolve naturally. One thing that is coming up for you is the faith card. So have faith in who you are, what you stand for, and what you believe in, because that idea of being uniquely you and understanding who you are is what actually makes you lovable. And in order to attract the right love into your life, you need to believe that you are lovable. And at the moment, there's a little bit of a doubt of whether you can be loved. And you know what, Sarah? Yes, you can be loved, and you deserve the love that you're looking for. They're saying there, the azalea, the beautiful flower of faith, faith in that the right person is going to turn up for you. Kind of like stop looking for it. Allow that energy to come into your life, but fluidly, without forcing it. Jacquelene?
Okay.
Yep, and what I'm really getting there as well is it's also like you've walked away from or walking away from a situation where that respect's not there or has not been there, and it's like a lot of forwards and backwards and are we or aren't we and what are we doing and where do I stand with you and why do I feel like I'm being controlled. It's really interesting how quite often what we're talking about before we go to our caller, you actually kind of resonates through as well with where they're actually at on each of the different discussions that we have, and I'm really feeling that resonating here as well. It does feel like we're at the end of one pattern and we're starting a new one. You're taking more charge, control and beauty into your life, and I'm really excited about where that's going, but in the meantime you're still kind of wrestling with yourself. It's like still trying to deal with this sort of how you're feeling within yourself, heart versus head and who's right there. A lot of people sort of go with your heart, it speaks the truth to you. And I say, well, go with your heart, but take your brain with you. It's very important, don't miss those. And it just feels as if you're still sort of wrangling with those two sides of yourself as to, loving someone is great, but it is what Raoul was saying, they have to love you back, and there needs to be good treatment of each other. There needs to be communication with each other. There needs to be the ability to be really honest with each other. And when you're able to be really honest with each other in a relationship, it's really working. It's when someone's trying to control you, or if you're trying to control them, and I don't feel you're trying to control anyone there, Sarah, except when you tried to sort something out with your mother a long time ago where there's a lot of control going on there, but that's something else. But in the situation of love and relationships we're really dealing with, you need to make sure that self-esteem is still there with you, and you're not just, putting up with this because you love the person. It needs to be a mutual feeling of respect and love rather than this past pattern that has been recurring and you're coming out of now, and that's how I'm seeing this.
Yeah, you need to look, Sarah,
he tells me that he does love me. He just doesn't have to say it. Like, he doesn't tell his parents that, so he thinks that he doesn't have to say it to me.
But I would look at his actions more than his words. Yeah. And, I know that we have many different forms of relationship now that they're very accepted and recognised. But in this kind of relationship here that you've got, which is sort of more your traditional style of relating, a man claims you. A man claims what he wants. If he wants you, he claims you. My friendship ring, my engagement ring, my wife, the mother of my children, and how is he claiming you is what I'd get you to start looking at for yourself. How is he claiming you? Not in a controlling manner, but just in how he's really taking that sort of sense of, wow, she's mine, and I'm really grateful for that. And I'd want to see that kind of demonstrated a bit more, if that makes sense to you. But it's really important to love yourself at the moment and to be looking after yourself in this, and not just sort of going along with him saying something and making you feel, oh, yes, no, I was wrong, you're right, oh, well, what do I know?
Right.
Bring the Calla Lilies energy into your life, because that energy of the Calla Lilies, the flower, is what is attracting that love energy. Yes, you need to hear the words being said. That is actually important to you. If it's not saying them, then, what sort of partnership are you actually having? And one thing that is actually coming clear to me is you are looking for that man that Jacquelene was referring to claim you, but you're looking for a man. And that's the key phrase here.
Mm-hmm. Not a boy. So we wish you the absolute best with that, Sarah. Actually, Raoul, I had in my head, what's her name? Nancy Sinatra singing "These Boots Are Made for Walking." What they're going to do? One of these days, these boots are going to walk all over you. Yeah.
You know what? The love of my life for that person.
Feels like about 18 months from now, if you let go of the rubbish, and if the rubbish takes itself out, don't chase the rubbish truck down the street. I'm not wanting to rubbish him, but, if he's not valuing you and if he's not showing you that he loves you, I don't mind if someone doesn't say, I love you every 5 minutes, but if he's not showing you that he loves you, you got to think again. But in the meantime, if we sort of do move on from that, I feel like it's about 18 months away is how I'm kind of seeing this. But, you need to make sure that if you're going to let go, you let go. Only let go because you're letting go of that person. Never let go because you're hoping for someone else to immediately turn up or there is someone knocking on your door. You've got to leave a relationship because you're leaving a relationship, not because there's somewhere and a stepping stone to go to.
If you do leave the relationship there, Sarah, allow the period of healing to take place. Don't go on what people call the rebound, because it's exactly that. You're going to be rebounding, and that's not healthy. So if you call it quits and allow yourself to heal, and then become the woman that is going to attract that right type of man. And you will see that happening. And I do agree with Jacquelene. If all this falls into place and you got free will, it will happen within the next 18 months, correct.
Okay.
Beautiful. Thank you there, Sarah. We wish you the absolute best with that. And I just really think that it is about when we go out of a relationship, it's like getting your boots back on. Maybe not Nancy Sinatra's boots, although that could be fun, as long as they're kind of classy. But it's boots. Yeah, there's nothing like the theatrical, is there? And just having fun, having joy, having real
connecting with oneself again.
Yeah, absolutely. It's so important. It's just so rich and beautiful to do that before you're washing someone else's socks. I can't think of that. I'm like, so you gotta have fun there. So thank you so much there, Raul. Have a beautiful weekend at Mind Body Spirit Festival. I'm going to be in the back going woo, cheering for you.
Enjoy
the couple of days. Beautiful. Thank you, everyone. We'll catch you next week when I'll have my voice back. In the meantime,